Like we've been telling them right from the start that we were peaceful, and so when we had walked the police out of the south side, we came back in and went to the front, and we walked them out of the front again. And when I come over to the north side, there was probably about 25 officers on that side of the property, and I seen two officers with M16s, and we were telling them put the guns away, that we were unarmed and we were peaceful. They did, after I started taking pictures, they did hide and took the guns and hit them. And then one of the windows got, when they were leaving, one of the windows got busted. How, I don't know, I didn't see that, but all I seen was the one guy in the back of the van with a great big gun. I don't know whether it was an Uzi or M16 or what, but it had a laser on it. And so everything was all set up as far as firearms. And they walked them out of there, and then everybody was still kind of on the adrenaline still running, and because we didn't know what they were contemplating next. And we're talking a few hours later, everything's calming down again, and we're feeding everybody, and we're still peaceful, and we're unified, and we're still unarmed. What had happened here, it could have got so much worse. It could have been so much more violent. And we've maintained that peace. We never broken that peace. And we said that, we stated that right from day one, that a first injunction was an abusive process. And to enforce it tarnishes her honor. And that first injunction threatened that peace. And when those OPP come across that line, they broke that peace. They wanted us to break that peace, but we never did. We maintained it because we have a tree of peace. We buried our hatchets a long time ago. And those things, like what we have said and done in the past, we have kept our word to date. Even today, this afternoon, we still have we kept and honored our own words. Now, does the government? No. They have never honored anything. And we're talking about development. Like, the society says, okay, we got more people coming in this world. We need more houses. But so do we. And we also need to preserve what land we have left. These are the land. Mother Earth is our blankets when we bury our loved ones. So it is very sacred to us. And I wish they would learn that, because just because they don't give a shit about anything that's on around them, the moon, the sun, the stars, all those affect Mother Nature, and it affects us. And when our ancestors told us a long time ago, there'll come a time when we had enough, and we've had enough. We've been telling them that for 51, 52 days as well. We've had enough. There's no more of it. Like, we look around, our waters are polluted. Just because Canada doesn't give a shit what their people's drinking and eating and living off of, doesn't mean we don't. And we ain't Canadians. We're Native North American Indians, and we are on Six Nations territory, and we are proud of it. And this is a perfect example of how much pride we have. And they need to stop trying to break all those treaties. They need to stop it. Like, they broke a treaty again today. And they didn't just break it with us, they broke it with Their Majesty. So how much respect does Canada have when it comes to the Queen? And that should be asked. How much respect does Canada have for the Queen? They must know. She set these people up in Canada to help us work together. They've been working against us for 82 years. 1924 is the last time our Confederacy chiefs sat at the table with Canada, simply because Canada will not acknowledge them. Why? Because there's more treaties to be upheld, more land that needs to be opposed. Like, there's all kinds of things why Canada doesn't want it. And if anybody wants to know, ask Canada themselves directly why they are doing this. And even like all this stuff, the war and everything, all that stuff is affecting our Mother Earth. Toxins get put in our ground. We gotta bury our loved ones, not just us, but the Europeans, the four races all have to bury their loved ones somewhere. Can't build it in cement walls. So I don't know I don't know why people ain't more people ain't speaking up to Canada. Instead of sitting there back and bashing us in our back doors, as if we don't belong here, as if we're the intruders. They should be up in Canada's door and telling Canada to get off their butts and start doing something, because it ain't just for us, it's for them as well. And like I said, we've had enough.
Around 4 o'clock this morning, the cops come in here, pepper sprayed women, young children, threw old men down on the ground. 4 or 5 cops at a time jumped on their back and kneed them. 15-year-old kid, they tasered him 4 times and they still couldn't knock him over. The kid pulled the tasers out and threw him down. I'm a member of the Mohawk Warrior Society. I lent my support at the start of this occupation to make sure that none of the construction or the townspeople come to intimidate or be aggressive to our women who were sitting in. And after that was over, my job's done. No one's in harm. As of 4 o'clock this morning, when the police, the OPP, made their act of aggression, then they call me in. As a Mohawk warrior, my job is to protect the women and children and the elderly, the people who can't protect themselves. And the reason that I'm protecting these people is because they're standing up for their rights. We're standing up because this is our land, and they're just trying to take it. I'm still not sure on the numbers. I understand it was a lot of police come in this morning, but quickly they were surrounded and pushed back. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, the talking part's over. They started the aggression. Let them come back in and see what's waiting for them now. We do exactly what they say and follow their dictatorship, or else they send in brute force and weaponry to put us in line. They're on borrowed land, now they're on borrowed time.
There's probably a lot of Dudley Georges here the way.
The cops shot Dudley George as a way of intimidation because of what had just progressed at Caledonia. They wanted to say, okay, well, the Quebec police can't handle themselves, let's show these Indians what the Ontario police can do. And they shot him, an unarmed man. They're gonna come in here to the largest reservation in Ontario with that stigma behind them. Yeah, we shoot Indians, huh? Well, guess what? Indians know how to shoot back.
Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but if it does,
we're prepared.
Yeah.
And what do you think's gonna happen here in the next coming days or weeks? You think they're gonna come back in?
I think by Monday there's gonna be probably close to 5,000-10,000 riled up natives here to protect the largest reservation in Canada, our homeland. We got to look out for the 7 generations coming. You know, we're talking our great-great-great-great-grandchildren. When they come here, they want to still have the same rights and freedoms that we have, even though it's painted a different color, and it's like we're living under a dictatorship, but we have our own way of life here, and now they're starting to intrude on it. And it's time for us to stand up and show them that, you know, we're not a bunch of pushovers. We're peaceful people as a whole. But when you come in and start pepper spraying our children and our mothers and our aunts and beating up on old men, you're going to see people like me come out of the woodwork, and we'll be looking for yous.
This morning around 5 a.m., just before 5 a.m. I guess, we were sitting just behind where you are here on Highway 6 at the main entrance to the occupation. We're sitting around the fire. There's only a very small number of people, about 4 or 5 people sitting up at that time. I had my back to the road, and all of a sudden the guy sitting across from me who's doing the security started calling in on the radio that the cops were there. But so I turned around, and it was unbelievable. The police were absolutely all up and down this road. They had off-road vehicles that were going across the field that were like already on the land, speeding across, and they'd come in the big, large, like 12-seater extended vans, and the police were just pouring out of them. and right onto the land, no hesitation, no warning, anything. The people that were there immediately moved to the road. They were told, the police basically just walked. They said, you gotta leave, or you're gonna be under arrest, and immediately just grabbed them.
What were the police armed with?
The police had their guns out, they had tasers. They were repeatedly saying, don't resist, you're gonna be tased, but the people had made it clear that this is their land and they weren't going. They had no intention of leaving, so people didn't leave. People, I believe, I can't say with any total certainty, but I believe people were tasered. They had tear gas cannons pointed at people and live ammo guns pulled out.
Are these handguns, or there's been reports of machine guns?
Yeah, they had automatic weapons pulled out, some of the cops. So basically, immediately the four or so people that were at the front were immediately taken down, overwhelmed. There was probably about 10 cops for each guy. I took off running along the tent line, waking people up because there's quite a few people sleeping. I was running and trying to get people up. By the time I got down to where the teepee is, the last tent, the cops had already basically completely surrounded this front campsite. They were in their off-road SUVs, chasing people who were in cars. A lot of people started heading to the back of the area. In cars, the police were cutting them off, trying to run them into the ditches, chasing them all over the place. I began to head back towards the front. I was confronted with the police. They had their guns drawn. They just said, to me, for fairly obvious reasons, that I'm clearly non-native, I'm clearly white. They basically, with their guns pulled at me, said, just keep walking to the road. And I can tell you that they did end up getting some people that were in the RV and in the tents, and there was several of us that walked off the land without getting arrested, and there was definitely not a single native among us. So that speaks for itself, I think. And after that, I saw people were laid out on the ground for quite a long time, very clearly quite beat up. The police themselves are saying that they used a lot of force in taking people down, and the police presence was just totally overwhelming.
And this is all happening at night, or is it at dawn?
Before daybreak, just before daybreak, 5 a.m. or so, and totally without warning. Like, it was literally 1 second was completely calm. The next minute, the police were absolutely everywhere all at once. And about 10 minutes later, maybe even less, 5 minutes later, it's hard to judge the time, it was over. The police had taken over this entire campsite. Of course, it wasn't actually over, but...
How did people get it? People got it back sometime after that?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to us, because we were stuck here on this road, and then eventually we were pushed back here to basically where you can see the TV trucks and whatnot. From there, it looked like the police definitely had this area secured, and our assumption at the time was pretty much that they'd secured the land, but they definitely hadn't. We understand that a lot of people didn't leave at all, and when word hit the reservation, like I heard one kid told me that when he heard the news, he got up, put on his shoes, picked up a baseball bat, and ran here 17 miles, or 17 kilometers, I should say. And so, within, I would say, half an hour to an hour of the police taking people out, there was already a massive buildup, which we didn't know. We were back here, over there, and about another hour after that, we began to see that they were all over the territory, all over again, in trucks and on foot. And it wasn't long after that they pushed the police right back off, and slowly but surely, the hundreds of people have been coming out, and pretty much got to the situation we're in now.
He knew the land was in dispute, but he bought it knowing that. And they probably just thought we would just roll over again, like they have with all of the land, right? They didn't think we would say anything.
And where's the Six Nations Reserve
Just over
compared to here?
This is supposed to be Six Nations too, right? But from 6 miles on both sides of the reserve, from the mouth to the source of the Grand River, was given to us, right? But see, they've just come in and built on it, and that's what they've done with all the land. They just squat, stay there, right?
And what's the situation of the people on the reserve? You were saying that there's problems in terms of the
Yeah.
reserve expanding and.
Yeah, well, we're an expanding, growing nation too, right? And we have housing problems. We don't have enough housing. We need housing also, right? Not just them, you know. But look at these beautiful homes they have here, you know, they put on our land again.
How does that compare to the homes that people are living in the reserves right now?
Well, these homes are much better. These homes are like way bigger and better than a lot of our homes down there. We're kind of living in substandard, you know, houses. We don't have the best housing going on down there. The people who can afford to do it. But the ones who can't, they can't.
Mm-hmm.
So they're living, you know, poorly. So.
And is there anything you think that people outside of the communities can do to support you guys, or what could be
I
done?
think it's just awesome that you guys have come down here, and I think anybody's welcome who wants to support the Native issues and what's going on today. I think that's just awesome that you guys really came all this way to, you know, and you took an interest in what's going on today. I think that's really awesome. And I just like anybody, I don't care what nationality they are, if they want to come and help, because if they can do this to us, they can do it to you guys too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any nationality. We know what they've done to other nationalities in history. It's not just us that have suffered.
Which other ones are you thinking of?
The Jewish, black people, you know, like they've tortured a lot of other people. You know, we're not the only ones. And I just think it's awesome when non-natives support us. I think it's good.
Good.
This guy wants to do a thing on the internet, put it on the net. He was just here. Get more support down here, probably. He went that way, Zach said.
Yeah.
My name is Jacqueline House. I'm from Cayuga Turtle, Six Nations. Hi, my name is Jacqueline House. I'm a Cayuga Turtle from Six Nations. I'm really honored to be here. I have a little something written down. By no means am I experienced at doing this. Scano, hello. My name is Jacqueline House, Cayuga Turtle from Six Nations. I am pleased to say this path has been overwhelming as we see the many new faces rising to say, we too want to be heard. It is an international matter and concerns all of us. Far too long have we kept you in the dark. Our ancestors once said, you will know when we had enough, and today we had enough. We couldn't have come as far as we are today without the help of all of you. Nyawa, thank you. Canada has made no attempt in telling you the truth, as they not only speak to us with a forked tongue, but you as well. We are not ashamed of who we are. Canada undermines us with their unsuccessful attempts to try and change history. You have the right to know, and Canada owes it to you to tell the truth. As your God says, tell the truth and set yourself free. The Canadian government has been keeping secrets regarding Ongo Holy Land and treaty rights. I'm about to share some of those secrets with you. I speak with truth and honesty, gifts the Creator has given me and our people. No longer can we stand back and allow ourselves to be molested by the government and no longer allow our ancestors to build upon it. By prudent developers such as Henko, who continuously uproot our ancestors as if they are nothing. Our ancestors set paths for us to follow, and we must follow them in that same direction as they have looked after us so long ago. They signed the treaties for us to have a relationship with the outside world and be able to live amongst that outside world. It makes it hard when we have to face the few people of our land that has no knowledge of what took place hundreds of years ago and why. As a wise man once said, you learn more with your mouth closed, and how true that is. We must honor our ancestors and uphold the treaties they put out for us, but most importantly, see that Canada honors them. Canada not only goes against them, but the late King George III. Canada owes the world the truth, how they illegally imposed upon our people with their ways and laws. Ways and laws we never asked for, but was forced to try live with. Now it is our time to place our laws where they respectfully belong as it was intended. Because in spite of all the wrongdoings Canada has committed on our people, we honored our words when we said we would never try to steer their vessel, and when we buried our weapons of war and made peace, but which we still follow today. Through the lands comes peace and harmony. We acquired our lands because of the military alliance, which guaranteed our independence, sovereignty as allies to the crown, establishing them through peace. Our treaties are not historic, and they guarantee our relationship. We are not resigned to a mere historical role. The treaties are the fundamental constitutional documents for the existence of Canada and the United States. Their permissions remain necessary for Canada to exist. This means the treaties must be honored, respected, and enforced. Note, we have never broke any treaties. Justice, if any head of state feel they can ignore a treaty and allow the government to threaten the peace, by doing so is the most serious international matter and concerns all of us. This requires the protectorate obligations of Her Majesty to step in. This commitment she is still bound by. The first injunction threatened the peace. To act on it tarnished her throne. And a little bit about 15 years ago, Henko Industry Incorporated, they supposedly purchased land from who I have no idea, but they purchased it knowing that there was a dispute. And they lay dormant for whatever reason. I have no idea on that either. But 3 years ago, they put a proposal to our elected band council on Six Nations, and that proposal was never handled. It was never dealt with. So in the fall of 2005, they started doing construction, and a few people from the Six Nations went out there and tried to stop them, and they walked away and went back and kind of discussed things more. And February 28th, we took over the land. We got there, we've been there, we're still there. The first injunction was put out March the 7th. And I feel personally that if we were there illegally, they could have taken us off the land then, as there was only 8 to 10 of us. And since then we've had 3 injunctions imposed on us. And on April 20th, the OPP had come in 4:45 in the morning with only probably 25 people there who were sleeping, and they came in there and they had their guns drawn, and all along they've known that we were there peacefully. They knew, and also our Six Nations police, they also knew, because they had went over and asked a couple people prior to that if we had any weapons in there, and they told them no. And I'm not going to disclose whose names they are. So they knew that we were unarmed, but yet they came in there with their guns drawn on our people. And we've had, right from the first day, we've had women and children in there. And it was really sad what they have done. And we still maintain that peace. By the evening on the 20th, we were back. We were unified and still unarmed and still standing our ground. It's been a trying trial, but we still maintain unified. We've went over many obstacles, but we did it together. And we want to say thank you to everybody that's that's been supportive. Well, we really appreciate that. That's a really big help to know that everybody else out there is tired of the Canadian government as well. And another thing, our ancestors once said that there will be a new generation that rises, and we are that new generation, and we are staying. We're not there to bargain. We're not there to negotiate. As I know, Canada's famous word is to negotiate. We're not there to negotiate. We've made that clear, and we'll continue making it clear as we continue to say that we're peaceful, unarmed, and unified. And another important thing is that we're not declaring war. So I should say that the OVP should put down their weapons. The first injunction that they placed on us, that threatened the peace. The Canadian government did that. When they came and imposed on our people, they broke that peace. And we still remained peaceful. We made the treaties, Treaty of Peace. We buried our hatchets. We signed Tuturo Wampum, where we traveled down the river, each in our own vessels, and that we would never steer each other's vessels. Although the Canadian government has unsuccessfully tried to steer our vessels for hundreds of years, we still never broke that. And I want you all to know that we don't have any intentions on breaking the Treaty of Peace. It's probably going to be a long drawn out progress, I guess, because the negotiators at the table, they're having a real problem recognizing our Confederacy Council. I personally see that they don't want to recognize us and deal with us in an appropriate manner, and that's why I'm here. Is like I want us to be dealt with the way it was put forward with our treaties. And again, I'd like to say Nyawa to all of you, and we appreciate everything that everybody's doing for us. And I'd like to introduce one of our sisters that came up from Manitoba to be with us.
You guys can call me Chaos. I'm from the Wolf Clan, and I'm from Anishinaabe territory. We came out to support our sisters and brothers in this territory, to make a stand, to protect the land and the people. We got here about maybe 3 weeks ago, and we're willing to sit and protect, do whatever we have to do to protect with our sister and brothers. Also, I brought my 2 children with me, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. We were in the camp when the raid came in, and scared the heck out of us, because there was so much violence that the OPP said that they wouldn't do. So my feeling is all they do is lie and lie, and I'm not afraid of them. Because of their raid, it made us stronger. We're not going to be afraid, and we continue what people want, and that is peace. To protect that land, and the ancestors are behind us. We know that. That is our protection. And also, I'd like to mention, I was involved with the Grassy Narrows blockade. I was 6 months pregnant, and I lived in that blockade during the winter time. That wood that's to build those houses is from that territory, the Whiskey Jack Forest. So that makes it even more close to home for us in our territory where our earth, Mother Earth is being raped every day and continually being raped. So we're here in the long haul, me and my children, to support our sisters and brothers. Whatever they need, we're there for them. And I want to say miigwech to the support from the people from the outside that have been helping the sisters and brothers from the Six Nations. I'd like to say miigwech, and we're in it for the long haul too. Miigwech.
I'd also like to add that a few days ago we found out that there's a burial ground at the Haldeman Estate. We were told over 3,700 graves, and there's pavement over those graves. And I just want to say that Henko is not the innocent bystander he is projected. He has found artifacts that belong to us and our ancestors. They have built upon to get what they want. It's really hard going on the property, knowing that we're walking on them. It saddens all of us. The women, their role is to protect the land as we protect our young. And the men are there to protect the women and children. The land is very sacred to us, as it should be to you. It is our blankets when we place our loved ones in the ground. The pavement suffocates our Mother Earth. And I just want you to know that never have we ever thought of doing such undermining tactics of uprooting somebody else's graves. And personally, I don't know how anybody can live with themselves knowing what they have done. So I just wanted you to know that. I've heard a lot of remarks regarding Henko, how he's losing out dollars. Well, those dollars don't mean anything to us. It's the value of our lives, our children's lives. And we try to look out for those 4 generations, not just our people, but all 4 generations. And well, not 4 generations, but four races. We said that we would share the land, and we have done that. And all we want is to preserve what land there is. There's not a lot of clean land left. The waters are becoming toxic. We can't just go into the backyard like we did once before and dip our pails into the fresh streams. All that stuff is going, and then all that water seeps into the ground. So I don't know about anybody else, but I don't like to place that earth, that toxic over our loved ones when we place them in the ground. And that's all I have to say. Now.
What brings us here today? For each person here, there is a reason. I've been asked to tell you mine. I believe the poor of the world are human beings. I believe the workers of this world are human beings. I believe the First Nations and the indigenous peoples of this world are human beings. I believe we have been held down far too long, used and manipulated for corporate gains. I believe today, day 67 of the Reclamation at Caledonia, that the people of Six Nations understand this better than most of us. I believe the people of Six Nations respect this earth, our mother, and are willing to stand up for her. I believe that if we look deeply enough within ourselves, we will see their wisdom and follow their example. I believe if the poor, if the workers, and the First Nations people lock arms, lock hearts, lock souls, then for the second time in the history of this earth, human beings will discover fire. This time, the fire inside. I believe this not only in my body, for it can be broken. Not only in my heart, for it can be stopped, but in the very core of my being. My name is Charlie Mercer, and I am one of the many members of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers who have donated money, food, blankets, and stand in solidarity beside the people of the Six Nations. We, like each of you, are human beings who believe. Thank you.
I'm Kelly from OCAP. As an organization, we've been sending people and supplies to the blockade for about a month now. And I speak for all of us when I say it's been an honor to be able to stand in support of the people. It's been an honor to be able to stand in support of the people of Six Nations. This reclamation is a product of hundreds of years of theft, and the courage and fearlessness of the people to defend what has been stolen from them is inspiring beyond words. It has been an honor to be welcomed and to get to know people at the site and to witness such a tremendous show of solidarity and support from the Native community. On the note of solidarity, I want to say how fantastic it is to see so many people out here tonight. Even without the minister. Especially considering the demonstrations that have been happening in Caledonia against the blockade. It's incredibly important that if the racists are going to rally, that we are also rallying, but in support of Six Nations.
Come on up. If you know the Strong Women song, I ask you to come up, the women to come up and join us and share in that their voices with us. We want to do this song in honor of those people who are out in what I've just heard called Caledonia. For those women who are out there with their children. And this song comes out of a place called Prison for Women, which no longer exists in Kingston, Ontario. They built smaller prisons across the country. And they used to sing this song through the suicides that happened there. I think about 10 years ago we lost 6 sisters there in Prison for Women. And as we sang that song, it gave us strength. It gave women the lives to get through the night, to get through another day of being in that hellhole. And so I also want to think of our brothers and sisters who are right now incarcerated behind bars. And all of those that are incarcerated in other ways behind barricades, surrounded by those police individuals who have the right to kill. Is that the word we use? But they have that control. And so we know that those individuals are suffering in their own way, but their spirits are strong. And we've heard those speakers, so we know that. So as women who are here, we want to sing this song in honor of all of those women, to let them know that there are women out here who are praying for them every day. That we thank you. much to you, Nawe, for the work that you're doing out there for our children as well. And so for all of the women who fight for the rights of their children, that we say miigwech to them and we honor them. So we ask the men, they're all standing up, so it doesn't matter, but usually we ask the men to stand up. But anyway, if you have a hat on, we'll ask you to take it off in honor of your mother and in honor of our mother, the earth, and our grandmother, the moon. Because there is no way that you can come here to this earth walk unless you come here through woman. And it is a very important message that there's no other way to this place. And so that women are treasures within our community and need to be treated as so, with that respect and that caring that they need, because they are the creators, carry those creations of life. And so we share this song for all women, and we say, miigwech for coming out and sharing the stories. Well, somebody else wants to say that.
The way it works.
We got somebody out in the crowd with a hat collecting donations that are going to go up to Six Nations to the encampment. So just so you know, there's someone out here with a hat. So if he comes by you, please be generous.
Or if you got any deeds, you know, land. Put those deeds in the basket. There's something lumber,
Okay, whoever that person is collecting donations out there, yell or something. Wave, jump. Yo, where are ya? Over there. Okay. We got to keep an eye on him. No, I'm just kidding. You're surrounded by warrior women. No.
Hey,
So who's Marie?
I agree with Marie.
So the natives don't need any money, the white people gotta work for it.
Oh wait, everybody
We pay for their
fully see it because it's in the shadow.
Back my ATG. There you go.
So what does that mean?
Possible white man. I love that sign.
Don't hide behind the sign. Don't hide.
Let the natives fucking burn.
Burn, natives, burn. I know you.
On our side. Hey, you want to come up and see what's going on up there?
That's good science. Strike three game
Let it burn.
On the road.
We're lighting the fire. Who cares?
It's in a can.
Fuck them.
What is?
Don't bust them for blocking the road. Then say something. Yeah, Jay. We'll cook some fucking bacon. Fuck the pig. Yeah, that's cool.
Yo, you want to go grab some?
Oh! It hit me in the eye. It's warm as shit. It's warm as shit. Where the fuck? That's the way it goes. Yeah. Here's some marshmallows. Y'all press the tires up the back. Hey, the signal's doing that right now. We're getting marshmallows and hot dogs ASAP. Right there. That's the signal. Yeah. You see it. You've seen it. Hey, you came. You know. They got parts. Indians. Yo, who's got some feathers? Let's throw them on there. Atta boy, big guy. You know what is it you're telling me? I'm proud of you. What the hell was that there? Oh, yeah.
Now use his hat, make the smoke. We should all be dancing around there. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah. Donuts!
Yeah. Up and smoke.
Picture your sign?
You're Mark's man. Got the eye on you now.
So what does it mean? What would John Wayne do if he was here?
You know what he would do.
He'd ride in?
Huh?
All by himself? They'd clear the problem out?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Who are you, the news?
What's that? Who am I?
Yeah.
No, I'm from York University. I'm a student.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
No, you're not.
You want to see my ID?
You know what? Because
Why
last...
is
Don't.
What's going on? How you doing?
You guys failed. Pussies. There's the OPP right there. The Ontario government, boys.
You guys just chase them away or what?
No, they can't talk to teenagers.
Go home.
Yeah.
They tried. They failed miserably.
What did they try to do?
started this war.
Yeah.
They tried to finish it. They started
And that's where they went. That's why we're here right now.
They started this blockade here.
Yeah.
Without this,
Because-
they would be over on the
You're
side.
saying if it wasn't for the OPP?
If it wasn't for the OPP, we wouldn't be here. We would not be here.
This would probably
I'm
end
here because I live in Waterford. I want to be able to drive home instead
I
of go
live in
way the fuck
Caledonia,
over
man.
there.
I want this shit to end.
It's another,
Fuck the police.
yeah, it's another 10, 15 minutes for me just to get here. Fuck that.
Yeah, we were
I
here
lived
first.
here for
So-
14 years.
Really?
I moved.
Yeah,
No
we're
way.
So you're saying it's more the OPP's fault than the natives?
OPP's fault. That's government's fucking
bullshit.
Fuck I fucking live on that fucking road. This guy lives right there beside the lights. He has to get ID to get home.
The natives should have.
It's like a 35-minute drive. If the cops didn't come, they would still be on their side lane, not blocking the main road.
If the natives had something to say, they should have done this as soon as the property was bought.
So-
before it's surveyed, fucking sewered and all that shit.
Yeah.
They spent like 10 mil on that shit, you know?
The natives should have came.
They're just trying to get all this shit for free.
They should have came before they started building.
So what do you think's gonna? How much longer do you think this is
I
gonna go
think
on
there's
for?
gonna be some stray bullets.
All summer.
They
say 2 weeks, but they're full of shit.
Government will settle it.
They will get their land back. We all know they're gonna go for more land after.
Okay, I should get one of you at a time. One of you at a time.
Hey, do him and me.
Okay, all right.
These two.
So what do you think's gonna happen? What do you think's gonna be like? What's the
Stray
next?
bullets, stray
The
bullets.
natives are only going to get up if they get their land. They don't
Exactly,
deserve it. They
trust
shouldn't
me.
get their land.
Do they deserve the land?
No, I lived here for 14 years before I moved. I moved here about how long? Not even a year ago. Not even a year ago.
Less than a year ago.
Less than a year ago. I moved here. My parents said don't cross the tracks because it's native land. Well, not really because it's native land.
You're
but
done.
But still, fuck you, man. You're Do not cross the fence.
Listen,
All right, your turn.
Give the natives their land, all right? If there was 100 natives right here and 50 white people, you'd be all against you'd be all for the natives, right? Give them their land. In 50 years, we're gonna take whatever they have now, all right? 100 years ago, this is all native land. We take it, right? All I can say is the Canadian government has no control over the Canadian people. If they did, they'd settle this right now. Look what they have. They have a wall of police officers, all right? They're arresting people for throwing firecrackers.
Did they arrest somebody?
Alright? They are going to call in the Americans, and this will be a milestone in the Canadian Constitution and the Canadian history books. That Canada couldn't solve a simple problem with natives.
So how should they solve it?
in Germany, there's shit on the front page in
So they
Germany.
give them
had a treaty.
Yeah. So you support the natives getting the
I do.
land?
I
Yeah?
completely do. Give
If
them
it's
their
their
land.
So why are you on this side and not that side?
Because I can't go over there.
Yeah, we
Let
can't
me
get
through
over
there and I'll go there.
No, but if they at least should have
I'm here
said
to get
something
drunk. I
before
wanna
they
get
spent
fucking
millions
hammered,
of dollars
man.
surveying that shit, you know? Like they should have done this as soon as the land was
If we give
bought.
them their land back, they're going
They
to
just
go
want
property
free
there.
fucking-
My house is right on the border, so they'll be coming for all the property around my house, and it's worth like I don't even know. But I'm.
Yeah, our kids are scared. Our elderly are scared. People can't go to church. People can't live.
People can't run their farms. Lady can't run her hairdressing business.
There's a hospital over there too, isn't there? That people can't.
Hagersville. This is the quickest route through to the hospital.
Yeah,
it used to be.
And what do you say to the claim that the natives that they own this land or that they were given this land and that?
If they own the land, they own the land. Get off our goddamn road.
Yeah.
I ain't saying you don't own the land.
They just make the highway
I ain't
back.
here against them. They want the land. They should have stayed on the land. They should have stayed there. They shouldn't have closed our roads. They shouldn't have burnt down our bridges. They shouldn't have stopped our trains. They shouldn't have stopped our kids from going to school. This is terrorism. That's all it is. Just straight up terrorism. We as townspeople didn't do anything to them. We've, over the last 50 years, this town's come to accept them and we've come to live together. This is crap. That's all it is. It's crap. It's terrorism.
And what do you think about the OPP? Are they doing their job to? They're at least keeping the calm here. What would happen?
Doing what they're told to do. Should have been taken care of. They should have been taken off the road.
Well, didn't they try to do that?
Well, no, they tried to take them off the land.
So you think they shouldn't have taken them off the land, or they?
If they did it, they should have done it right in the first place. They should have taken the land and held the land and not let them back on.
Yeah. And what would happen if there was no OPP here tonight?
The road would be open. Yeah, the road would probably be open. Either that or, well, yeah, the road would probably be open. Yeah.
And what do you think about the what are people going to do in the coming? Like, how long do you think this is going to go on for? Another couple weeks, or?
Who knows how long it's going to go on for? Who knows?
Are the protests going to continue?
We've been here every night. My friends and I have been up here every night for it.
Yeah.
I'll be here every night on. Go to work tired every day.
And what's the stance? Are a lot of the community organizations coming on side, or like I heard some of the unions, like Buzz Hargrove was supporting the protesters, and this local from the steelworkers president was over there.
But he's an asshole. I'm sorry to say. A lot of the steelworkers don't agree with what he did. It's like he should have just stayed nobody.
What did he do exactly? He supported them?
He took his 1005 flags, walked over, and I was standing there with some people that their husbands are steel workers, and they did not agree with that. We almost had a riot over that. I don't agree with that.
Is there a dissension within the union? Are they?
Oh yeah, okay. For sure. This, I guarantee it, this president is probably not going to be around for his next term.
There's that much anger?
Oh yeah, they're not impressed. I know that from a lot of steel workers.
Nobody's impressed.
No. Nobody's impressed. But it's like in here, if you looked around, you'd probably find people that own businesses here are standing here tonight. They're sick and tired of it. Just give us the road. That's all we want. Just move back onto the land. We go about our merry business again. This stops.
What would you guys say to other Canadians that might be watching this, or that might have land claims going on in other parts of the country?
You don't stand up and speak your mind. Don't say anything about anything. As far as the people in this town goes, is everybody that's not out here protesting it to make their point and make their voice heard, they should never open their mouth about anything that's wrong in this community again. Never. Whether you're scared or not, you should be out here just to at least make your person, make your spot.
What do you think this is going to? There's going to be more protests after this? Like they're claiming a lot of land that was given to them. They say that Halaman tract that includes.
It's all our land. It's not just their land. It's all our land. We're all human beings. We all live on this earth. How the hell can they say it's their land? How the hell can they say it's their land? I'm just as native to this land as they are. I was born and raised in this town. I was born and raised on this land. I've grown up in this town. I've played on every piece of property there's a house on in here. I've rode my dirt bike. We've hunted. We've done everything on this land. Hunt, fish, everything. And it's just as much my land as it is theirs. It's just as much your land as it is theirs. It's just as much his land, and everybody's standing here.
Do they have a higher standard of living? Like they get money, they get government checks, or they get lower?
Holy shit, my wallet hurts when you start talking about that, man.
Well, tell me about it. They have.
Well, their kids get paid to go to school. They get paid to go to college. They get free medical care. They don't pay for nothing, man. They don't pay for nothing. They don't pay their land taxes. We gotta pay for them. We pay for them. We pay for the roads to be put through everywhere. We pay for the winter maintenance. We pay for everything. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. What the issue here in Caledonia is they closed our land. They closed our roads. They burned down our bridge. They stopped our trains. They've cut down hydro poles. They can't let hydro do their job. That's crap.
And from their side, they would say that they're doing this because they have no other recourse, because nobody's listening to them or taking their position seriously.
Why did they go up to Pickering and fucking take the nuclear?
You know what? Take your protest to the Parliament building. Take it right to the government's door. Don't bring it to our community. This is our community. This is our community. This town is a quiet, respected town. And this has just ruined it. This has ruined the relations between the Caledonia people and the Six Nations people. And it's only been getting better. It's only been getting better throughout the years. From when I was a child in this town to what it is now, it's been a substantial upgrade on the way people have looked at between the two communities.
What was it like when you were growing up? A lot of tension?
A lot of tension. There was a lot of arguments, a lot of fights. People didn't get along with the natives. It's the way it was when we grew up, and now it's changed big time.
Now it's a lot better.
We all started learning to live together, and it's all changed now, and there ain't no going back. Not after this.
What do you think? What do you mean by that? What's gonna the community will just be divided?
The community outlook from Haldeman County. Really? Everybody around here. Nobody's gonna accept them the same way we did 52 days ago or 53 days ago, whatever it is. Nobody's gonna respect them the same way they did, if anybody respects them at all.
The townspeople wouldn't be so bad and wouldn't be so against what they're doing if they weren't on the road. The townspeople want them to go back on the land and protest on the land. No one has a problem with that. I'm totally supporting, like you've seen me over there, I totally support what the natives are doing, but now it's getting to the point where it's ridiculous. Like, they need to get off the road. Like, I'll 100% back them up. I'll go over there if they, like, you know what I mean? They just need to get off the road.
Why do you think they took the road in the first place?
Because the cops went in. If the police didn't go in, they wouldn't have gone on the road. But the cops aren't going in now, the cops are protecting them, but they're still not getting off the road.
Do you think that if they went off the road, they would then, like in a sense, they might be more open to being attacked if they went back on the road?
I don't think so, because the police are protecting them. I think that if they went back onto the land, the police would send a barricade, the police would make their own barricade in front of the land to make sure that townspeople who are against it don't go over there.
Do you think the mood has really turned against the natives in the last few weeks?
I think they had a lot of support, and I think they've lost it by keeping that barricade up. They've been told, move the barricade, and they haven't. So they lost a lot of support from people.
There was I heard a report that some of the schools had been shut down after the OPP went in. Is there a lot of tension in the high schools?
You know what? A lot of the natives aren't going to school right now, and the Thursday, the natives were asked to leave the school, and Friday,
just the natives?
Yes, the natives were asked to leave for the safety of everyone, which is racist. I wasn't there, but I was told it was by the principals and other staff that they were to go home. But I think that's racism. KFC the other day wouldn't sell food to the natives. What the natives are forgetting is that they're going to have to come back into the town after to do their shopping. And if they don't get off the road, they're going to lose all support from anybody over here. Because they do come over here and they do shop, and they're going to have to come back in here unless they start building their own stores over there.
Have there been any fights or altercations, like sort of unofficially between people when they're not at the...
No, not that I've heard of. It's just been... There's no actual physical fights, it's just people talking.
Did you see what happened on Monday when people tried to cross the barricade? Yep. What happened then?
I was on the native side at that point, and I had to walk back over and get escorted out by police because we were worried that townspeople were going to call me a traitor, and they were when I was walking back, calling me a traitor and that. But it was just mostly townspeople getting a little bit rowdy, just crossing that yellow tape, and nothing really happened. A couple of people threw a couple of punches at a couple of police officers, but it was nothing totally out of control.
And what do you think is going to happen if the natives don't, let's say they keep this up indefinitely? Is the OPP going to go in again?
You know what, we haven't had any word on whether or not the police are going to do anything about that, but the townspeople are getting pretty rowdy, and the barricade's got to go. And I think the natives know that, but they're being stubborn about it. Like, they have the OPP totally supporting, and I shouldn't say supporting, but protecting them from anything that can happen. If they just go back on the land, the police set the barricade up like they have over here, then everything would be fine. They're not going to have town people freaking out.
I guess the natives probably feel that if they step things down, then they'll be losing their position. They're in a very strong bargaining position.
But they're not going to be after. That's what they're forgetting. Because after all of this is done, if this takes months, if this takes a year, they eventually are going to have to come back into the town to go shopping, to go to McDonald's, to do any of that kind of stuff, and they're not going to be welcomed.
So right now, is the town used to be more integrated in terms of there being a lot of native people in town and white people, and now there's not that many native people?
Now the natives are pretty much over there, but
so where are they shopping? Where do they?
I have no idea, because there's not too many natives coming over here because of what's going on. So,
any other final comments or anything that we haven't touched? What would you say to people? Well, I guess what would you say to people outside of Caledonia who look at things like this and think that the white people here are racist or crazy or?
I would have to say that they're not totally off on that. There is a lot of racism here because the people in Caledonia don't understand where the natives are coming from, don't understand the history of the natives. So I think that they definitely should enforce more learning at the high schools and the regular elementary schools to teach people about the natives and that. But I definitely think that the natives need to move the barricade because they're only causing more problems for themselves.
Okay, thank you very much.
My name's Rolf Kirstenberger. I'm the president of Local 1005 United Steelworkers, the large steel plant, and we work at the large steel plant in Hamilton, Stelco, formerly Stelco. We started, our local first came out here on April 9th after a week of the local media doing propaganda that something has to be done about this occupation, about the stand taken by the native people here at Douglas Creek. And they were, in our opinion, the local media, the radio talk shows, the Channel 11 and the Spectator were trying to whip up support for having the police or the army move in and clean them out. So we came the first day with our flags and about 20 of our members to lend support to the native people in their, as far as we're concerned, their just claim. And for us, the supporting the native people's hereditary rights and their land claims is a motherhood issue. It's been 500 years of injustice been done to the native people. It's never been resolved. Even this particular issue with the Haldeman Tract, and it's 200 years old. And they had been promised certain things, and the Crown never upheld their promise. They had almost 1 million acres of land that was theirs, and no sooner did the Crown promise it in 1784, they started taking it away. So that today they have less than 5% of their land still available to them. And basically it's why we came here was because, as I said, it looked like the police were going to attack. So our position was that you can't solve this question with police attacks or the army coming in or shooting someone or arresting people or by making it a law and order issue. It's a political question that has to be settled politically through negotiations. So then, of course, on the morning of April 20th, 150 or so OPP riot police moved in and arrested 16 of the native people, attacked them, beat them up, tasered them, had assault rifles out, and thought that they could just clean up a small group of troublemakers. And as most people know now, there was huge support in the community and the police were pushed off. It was a huge, in my opinion, it was a huge defeat for the OPP and the Canadian government to be pushed off here. And then, of course, the native people took measures to prevent that from happening again. So that's why they've blocked the Highway 6 and Argyle Street on each side of this Douglas Creek Estates, so that it'd be harder next time for the police to move in. In words, the government, provincial and federal governments are saying they have no intention of settling this through force of arms or by making it a law and order issue. But I think quite rightly the native people are very skeptical of that and are prepared to defend what's theirs. So we're here to support them. 2 weeks ago they asked for people to come out to just be witnesses, or bring cameras, bring whatever in case the police do attack. So our members have been coming, we come in this group, so today we have about 15 or so, and we're on their own just to be around and support the Native people in their just demands.
What would you say to the members of your that are local residents here and that feel that their homes or that they're personally affected by what's happening and thus that the union shouldn't take a position on this issue?
Right. As I said, on April 9th was the first day we came here, and they had a Spectator photographer here. So the next day in the Hamilton Spectator was a picture of one of the leaders, Native leaders here, greeting our delegation. And from that day on, for the next 2 weeks, I got lots of calls from our members who live in Caledonia, live in this area. And basically, my argument to them was that, well, first of all, they all have to agree that we don't want to settle this through law and order or through by beating someone, beating the Native people up, or by shooting them, arresting them. So there was a general view that that's correct, that shouldn't happen. Then it was interesting because initially every one of the callers said, well, you know what the Native people are doing is illegal, that this is an illegal occupation. And the more I discussed with them as far as the history of it, it turns out that all the residents of Caledonia know that there's an issue of a land dispute. Like 20, 30 years ago, the reason you could buy houses cheaply in Caledonia was because you weren't really sure if you owned the land or not. So it turns out everyone in Caledonia knows that. And they may not have liked it, but they know that this is, the 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. They knew that. And then they would raise that, well, why didn't the Native people raise this issue before? And then we would say, well, they did, but unfortunately the courts don't listen to them. And it isn't until they take a stand that, the government, in particular federal government, is forced to deal with it. And then, of course, when they take a stand, like they did in Oka and Ipperwash and Gustafson Lake, then they're attacked. So it's not an easy thing for the Native people to take this step, but at the end of the day, they have no choice. So that basically was our discussion, and I mean, it always comes down to whether you know the history or not, and that depends on how upset someone was. And then others, I mean, unfortunately, then it gets into there's some, once they don't get their way, then not all of them, but some do the racism thing, and that these are, they're not normal, they're not real people, they have some lesser rights, or they have some characteristic different than the rest of us. And so unfortunately there's a tendency that some of that will surface, and we had quite a bit of success with the ones who wanted to discuss it. So that's the difference.
There's been reports lately of far-right organizations coming into Caledonia, or hate leaflets that have been passed out with links to the KKK. Could you comment on that and what you think the union movement could do to address that problem?
Well, the leaflets that have been around are very shady. It's who could be organizing it. I mean, unfortunately, the experience in the United States and even in Canada is that it's the political police will organize these things to try to organize something, to get something incited, incite people. Anyway, that's my first reaction. As far as the labor movement, I mean, whether the KKK or the white supremacists or whatever are doing something, it's a question of defending the Native people and their right to their hereditary rights and their land claims. And the labor movement, they've, like I said, it's a motherhood issue. They've got thousands of pages of resolutions and documents supporting the Native people. It's a question of taking a stand on this issue, that the labor movement support the Native people's right to express their rights. So that should be an issue whether the supremacists are there or not, because unfortunately, I mean, my knowledge of the history here and in the States is that it's the police they organize these things when they need them.
And what has been the response so far from the union movement to supporting this action? Could you talk a little bit about what groups have signed on in support of
Well,
Six Nations?
the first one I became aware of was on the April 20th. Leah Castleman and OPSU issued a statement, a resolution from there. They had some sort of a convention that was passed unanimously by their organization. Buzz Hargrove and the auto workers had their a convention, they call it like a parliament. They had 800 delegates there, and they passed a resolution unanimously again supporting the native people here and opposing the use of police. And then Ken Giorgetti issued a letter on the 21st of April, again, very good letter in my opinion, outlining the CLC's position on native rights, hereditary rights, land claims, and again opposing the use of police and the army and making it a law and order issue. Ken Newman, the national director of the Steelworkers, also issued a statement on the 26th of April. Now, then the Calgary District and Labor Council issued passed a resolution at their meeting in April, and then just yesterday, Wednesday, the 3rd, the St. Catharines Labor Council passed a resolution to support the Native people, and they also made a financial contribution to the occupation here. So there are. Anyway, the labor movement, like I said, it's a motherhood issue for them for a long time. So it's just a question of how to express that in real life. Resolutions are good, financial support and everything. See, the other thing why it's important for the labor movement to take this stand is that it may prevent the police and army from moving in if there's organized support for the native people. If it's left that individuals come, which it's good, but it's much more powerful that they're not left on their own to face the police and whatever these attacks are being planned. And again, hopefully it'll be settled through negotiations. The problem is, according to the CLC letter, there's about 600 unresolved land claims in Canada right now. And, that sort of, it may open a can of worms. So this is what the government has to think about when they're settling this. But at the same time, it's about time that these things are settled. 500 years is a long time to not settle a question as basic as this.
Thanks very much.
So I turned around and I was going to try to go back out here, and that's when all those cops started running inside my truck, smashing the windows. And they dragged. I stopped. As soon as I opened the door, and they just about 10, 12, and just jumped right on me. Threw me on the ground.
And this is when they were running around with their guns out and everything?
Oh yeah, they
had tasers?
Yeah, they had, when I was getting up, they had their high powers and pointing right at me. But they didn't show that on the video. The video, that woman was videotaping everything. They were standing behind her. And it happened back there.
What did they hit your vehicle with?
Well, they had a club with a chain and a steel ball. And they had those, must have been those billy clubs or something. So that's it. They threw me in a paddy wagon and left me there for about 2 hours back there.
And did you see the police get pushed off the land, or was that after?
That was after. I guess I must have been gone or something.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I know.
Did they let you out after 2 hours?
No. Yeah, I was sitting in there. I was in that truck for 2 hours. See, it was so hot in there. I was telling that guy, like I'm diabetic. I said, well, I gotta go get, I gotta get my pills and I gotta get something to eat. And I never ate this morning. My sugar's gonna go high. And so he said, well, when you get to the police station, they'll give you something to eat there, get your pills or something. But anyways, they got my pills there. They phoned my wife, and she brought my pills down, but they never gave me nothing to eat till I think about noon that day. Before they finally even give my pills there.
Did they charge you?
Oh yeah, they charged me with dangerous driving, failing to stop for police, and contempt of court.
And when are you next back in court?
May 17th.
Is it something that there should be a lot of people that you want to have to come and support you there?
Yeah, but you know, like I'd like to see a lot of people there.
Over to the left where the tree is, where the trailer sits now, that was, in that area was the Onondaga village. And over to the right, where those, pretty much straight ahead of where you are now, there's a cemetery in there. And then that cemetery, they blocked it off, or they roped it off and mapped out the graves. There's Onondagas, some Senecas, some Mohawks, and over back into where the village was, there was a Tudlo that died defending the village. He was never buried. He laid on top of the ground. And in here was, and in this area in here was a battleground. And at one time when we used to have villages, and that our eagles used to forewarn us of danger coming. So I'm guessing, this is all my theory, and so what I'm guessing is that the eagle warned our people of the coming of danger, and that brought them out here, because we're told that this is our battleground, and it was a battle between us and the British. And then to way down towards the Grand River is probably about 3/4 of a mile to the right. And all along there is all along from here back is towards the river is graveyards as well. And I'll take you over there after. That's where they did the fur trade, and they were murdered. Our people were murdered over there through the fur trade. And the reason why I want to kind of explain things is because I see us at a very very dangerous situation right now. I've been doing some sorting out of what's really going on, and it seems like to me that every 97 to 100 years they're trying to annihilate us. Because prior to 1800 there was some graves in here which could have been a small village, and they died in the 1700s. And every indication, everything that we've been taught about our histories is all in here. It's all everything. The fur trades, the disease, how they brought over the smallpox. We found a young girl's grave. She died of smallpox down by the river road towards the river. There's a man that died of diphtheria. And this is my theory. And so the way I look at everything is, because we've gotten years given to us, so we've kind of played around with those years. And it seems to me like at every 97 to 100 years, our people are being attacked. And that's what brings us here today. And it's really coincidental right now, because they said that there's over 20,000 graves in this area. We have 20,000 members on the Six Nations territory. We're in a situation right now. Okay, you got our people of long time ago. You have us. You have the British. You have the government. You have those people that fought. You have over here the OPP, RCMP, the Army, or the Ku Klux Klan, as we hear that's coming here tonight. And that's why I say that when I'm looking at all those patterns, we're at a very, really dangerous spot and situation right now, because if history, they say that history has a way of repeating itself. And I look at it like, is that why the Queen, what I see happen here back in the 1800s is they signed those treaties really easily because they never had every intentions on us being around. We fought and we won the war for the British, and in turn they turned around and they come here and they tried to kill off our people. So that those treaties, I'm guessing they never really had plans on upholding them, and that's probably why they don't uphold them today. So, and then the leases that were made on this Haldeman track are 99-year leases. How coincidental. So that's taken us right back into that circle of history repeating itself. And all these things that has transpired 100 years ago and 100 years before that is all happening to us today in different forms. And I just like to, that's why I wanted to give my theory, because when I'm talking to people, everybody's like so amazed with what we discovered, and they say that it sounds right. And I want the message out there to our people that we need them here. We need them to help us with this. And we're walking all over our ancestors. We're not doing it on purpose. It's at the site, and everything that happened 100 years ago is where we're at today. And I know, like, we don't have the word please in our language, and we look at that word please as begging, but I'm begging for some help for our people. I'm scared. I don't know. I'm afraid for our people of what's going to happen to us. And I said, well, the Ku Klux Klan, we don't know if there are cops underneath it. We don't know if they're RCMP, OPP, or even the SWAT team, for that matter. I'm taking that really serious, the Ku Klux Klan. I hope I'm wrong about the Ku Klux Klan, but the theory about everything else, I don't think I'm wrong about that. I believe that because, like I said, right now we are in all those stages of what was set out 100 years ago. All those stages of the Queen, the Governor General, how both of them are not acknowledging us. The Queen from the 1800s, the Governor General from the 1900s. Either one of them are acknowledging us. Then you take us, and then those war people. That's those OPP and RCMP. And if you can visualize all that stuff, and you can see that, you'll know where I'm coming from, because it's just the way we've been raised and taught about our history, how our people lived close to the water. The fur trade would have been up along the Grand River, or along the water, because we all traveled through the water, the water streams. We went with the flow of the water, and that's where you get the fur trade, because they knew that